to the government of Pakistan to nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, just so there would be somebody who looked more groveling and subservient to this fascistic buffoon than does the average European government. As I travel around Europe to wonderful peace rallies and conferences and marches in Den Haag and Brussels and Geneva and Ramstein, I think to myself, here are millions of people, decent people, educated people, people educated beyond the capacity of the United States school system, which the European school system will no doubt be copying soon. And every single one of these beautiful people is represented by a government that bows and scrapes and does its best to do whatever it thinks the latest incoherent social media posts from the naked emperor might mean. This is not a role for governments. This is a role for court jesters, or what we in the United States call Congress members. Our governments are awful. Our people are fantastic. If democracy were a real thing and not just a slogan in a NATO video, money would be moving out of weapons to schools and hospitals and trains and green energy, and as a reverse arms race took hold to the project of replacing all these military bases with affordable housing and solar energy and museums to explain to our children the ancient rite of militarism. You all are doing the right thing. You are protesting, you are educating, you are agitating, you're shaking your neighbors a bit and telling them to wake up. I imagine you feel a little shame at allowing your government to become a vassal to a convicted felon, former television host who actually believes you should stare at the sun and that bombs end wars. The U.S. public is far behind you. People in the United States are allowing the United States military to steal land, to establish mini-apartheid communes, to shuffle nuclear weapons around, to prop up brutal dictators, and to wage numerous wars, principally by avoiding knowing that any of this exists. That's one reason that the anti-bases movement is strongest when it's global. We should be doing simultaneous actions in Ramstein and Washington with messages from the people of Ramstein on billboards in Washington, if only so people in Washington learn the word Ramstein and that the United States has foreign bases. Another reason we are stronger globally is because we can share lessons. How did the Czech Republic keep the bases out? How did Ecuador and the Philippines close the bases? How did Colombia and Montenegro stop new bases? Those who are talking with each other know the answers to these questions. We've been holding global days of coordinated actions. If you look at day2closebases.org, you will see that we have been building up this movement and building chapters of World Beyond War, which has activists in 203 countries, so the Pentagon can brag about its 175. In the U.S., the situation is basically here, but more so. The liberal position is to support a minimal safety net, massive unlimited military spending, oppose the war in Gaza, support the war in Ukraine, and oppose Trump, but not really oppose what he's doing. Recently, there were rallies across the United States on the day that Trump held a giant weapons parade in every town except Washington, so as not to actually oppose the weapons. Nations bordering Russia and Belarus all the way to Oman, dotting across the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia, and squeezing most tightly into Okinawa and the rest of Japan and South Korea and Alaska and Greenland and Iceland. Why did Russia and China put their countries so close to so many innocent U.S. military bases? While the most U.S. troops are in South Korea, the most U.S. bases are in Germany. And the biggest concentration of them is right around here. And they go unnoticed. They hide behind trees. Yesterday I saw some troops on a train with camouflage on. I don't know if they thought I couldn't see them. But these bases make Germany a target, and one that its chosen enemies know the United States would rather sacrifice than the United States itself. They also make Germany's government a colony, willing to have its laws and constitution and pipelines destroyed, willing to have nuclear weapons put into its bases illegally. Possibly not at Ramstein anymore, but who knows? Who even is considered deserving to know? And Russia and the UK and France are now following this model of spreading the nuclear weapons around. And let's not forget that something has made the German government willing to take money out of everything good and decent and put it into wars because NATO says so. People will stop to ask themselves, what in the name of the holy dollar is the U.S. military doing in 175 countries? Most countries that have militaries have them in one country. In fact, the U.S. has not just a few troops, but over 850 military bases in some 95 countries that are not the United States. And while 17 other countries now have bases outside their borders, all of those combined are a small fraction of the U.S. foreign bases. And none of them resemble in size or content the sort of base that is nearby here, a resort with athletic fields and a golf course and a shopping mall and top-of-the-line services like a new hospital paid for in part by Germans who can't use it. Not to mention immunity for petty crimes and major crimes like crashing planes and permanently poisoning groundwater and guiding drone murders and refueling bombers on their way to bomb various countries. And then there is the very largest crime, provoking a world war. U.S. bases stretch in a wall from the top of Scandinavia, where dozens of new bases have been opened in the past few years.